Hello class, welcome to Pre-Algebra Lesson 4.1, which is all about analyzing percents of numbers. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to understand, find, and analyze percents of numbers. So let's get started. Let's start with just figuring out what is a percent of a given number. Okay, so we have this word problem. Diego starts a 12-hour road trip with his phone's battery charge at 75%. Given his normal usage, will his phone last the whole trip? Explain. Now, if we look over here, we can see a little picture of a phone, and then it says that when it is 100% charged, that there are 15 hours of usage. Okay. Then we see that when it is 75%, we don't know how many hours are left. So what we're going to do is we're going to solve for that. And the way that we can do that is setting up a proportion. Okay, that's what our last chapter was about. Let's just continue working with proportions. Okay. So looking at that very first piece of information, I see that 100% and 15 hours are related. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 100 on the bottom of the second fraction, and you will typically see me do that. That's the spot that I like to put the 100, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the 15 next to the 100, just on the other side of the equal sign, okay? Because that 15 hours means that it's at 100%, right? So that's why I have them on the same level like that. Okay, so this is my hours and this is my percent. Now, if I were to look at this other image here, 75% of the battery charge is, we don't know how many hours. So 75 was a percent, so that's why I'm going to put 75 over the 100. Okay, and then I'm going to put x over 15 because we don't know how many hours are left with 75%. Okay, so that's how I can set it up mathematically. Also down here you can see I kind of split it up for us. Okay, I showed 15 hours is the same as like 100%. So you can see I used like a little bar diagram, and then what I did was I split that bar diagram up into 4 pieces, and I shaded in 3 of them in order to show that that equals 75% of the full battery. And then below that I just wrote X hours. So this is called kind of a bar diagram to help you visualize the percentages that we're working with. Now, what we are going to do is, in the same thing that we did in the last chapter, I had taught you guys something called cross multiply and divide. So if you remember, that means that you're going to multiply on your diagonals. So I would say 15 times 75, and then I would divide that by the 100. Okay, so 15 times 75 divided by 100, that gives me 11.25. So that means that with a 75% charge, this phone is going to last 11.25 hours. And that means that if Diego starts a 12-hour road trip with his phone's battery charge at 75%, given his normal usage, his phone is not going to last the entire trip. So you'd say no, because 11.25 is less than 12. Okay, and having your work would be another part of the explanation. Okay, so you would actually include both of these pieces of information as your answer. Okay, now we have a similar question. Okay, we have Kita's phone had a fully charged battery. With normal usage, her phone will last 18 hours. How much time is left on Kita's phone battery with a 12% charge remaining. Okay, so you guys use that same skill that I just refreshed in your memories from the last page. Use that same idea to solve this problem. Okay, good luck. All right, hopefully you determined that Kita's phone is going to last about 2.16 hours. What I did was I set up my proportion just like is shown on the screen, x over 18, because we're solving for the missing number of hours, and then I did 12 over 100 because those are both percentages. And you will see that when I cross multiplied 18 times 12 and then divided by 100, I was left with 2.16 hours. All right, if you have questions about that, please be sure to reach out for some help. I am happy to help you. Let's look at when percents are greater than 100. Okay, so we have a full set of adult teeth includes 160% as many teeth as a full set of baby teeth. How many teeth are there in a full set of adult teeth? Okay, so you can see in this image here that babies have 20 teeth, and then it lists all of the different types of baby teeth, and then it tells us that adults have 160% as many teeth as babies. So how do we set this up? Again, you're gonna just use 100 in that same spot, okay? And then the new percentage that we're looking at is 160. So you can see I'm gonna still do my percentages like I did on the last two problems. It just looks a little different because the bigger number's on top, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, so that 160% represents the number of adult teeth, which we don't know what that is. We're trying to solve. So I'm going to put X on top, and then we were told that babies that have 100% of their teeth have a total of 20 teeth. So I'm going to put 20 on the bottom so it lines up with that 100. Maybe by now you've noticed that I've been color coding. So like in this example, orange represents the baby teeth, and you can see I put them next to each other. See how they're both on the bottom of the fraction? That's very intentional, okay? I am keeping those on the same level to represent that they go together. Then for the percentages, you can see that for the adult teeth, I put 160% on the top, and I lined it up with that X. I wrote them both in pink because they go together. Okay, X represents the number of adult teeth, 160 represents the percentage in relation to the baby teeth. Okay, so color coding can be a really powerful tool. If that's something that helps you, by all means, use multiple colors as you are doing your assignments or as you're completing your test. I do not mind, okay? So now we have it set up. We're going to do the same thing that we've been doing. We're going to cross multiply and divide. Another thing that you can do is, nope, actually, I'm just going to stick with this. We're going to cross multiply and divide, okay? So X equals, and then I would do 160 times 20, and then I would divide by 100. So when I do that, I get 32. So that means adults have 32 teeth. All right, so there is our final answer for example 2. And now we're going to work with roughly the same thing where we have percents that are less than 1, and we want to be able to approximate distances in miles from the Earth to the Moon. Okay, so you can see that the Earth to the Moon, that's this right here, is 0.27% of the entire distance between the Sun and the Earth. So our Sun is represented with that 93 million miles. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself more space than that. I have, again, the same thing that I've been doing. I have 100%, okay, and that 100% distance is that 93 million miles, right? That's the full distance that I know. And then if I'm working with trying to figure out the distance between the sun and the earth, or sorry, the moon and the earth, I see that that's represented by 0.27%. So I'm going to leave it as a decimal on the top, and then I'm going to use x to represent what is that distance. Okay, and when I cross multiply and divide, so x equals, I would do 0.27 times 93 million, all divided by 100. I would be left with about 251,100 miles. And that would be my final answer. So it's about 251,100 miles between the Earth and the Moon. Okay? So we have done a lot of word problem practice. Let's practice, what do we do when we don't have those pictures or we don't have more context? It just gives us something like this. It's going to be almost identical to what we've been doing, okay? So you're still going to have your proportions. So I'm just going to draw those for our all three problems, really. And then again, I told you we're going to always have 100 in that bottom right hand corner. And then what I want to do is I want to fill in the different words, okay? So that 100 represents a percent, and I have find 0.08% of 720. When you have the of and then a number, that is going to go right on the bottom. Okay, so you're going to have of on the bottom, and then you have your percent on the other side. So 0.08, and I want to figure that out. So again, if I were to cross multiply and divide, I would have 0.08 times 720, all divided by 100. And when I do that, first I want to give you guys a little tip. As you're moving forward in math and you're using a calculator more and more, when you are multiplying things and then dividing, I'm going to recommend that you guys get in the habit of using some parentheses, because this is a really easy spot to get in the habit of that, where it's not going to change your answer right now, but in the future when we are doing math problems, it's going to be a really good idea to put parentheses around anything that's on the top part of the fraction, and then eventually parentheses around whatever's in the bottom part of the fraction. Okay, so again, if you were to do that right now with or without parentheses, you're going to get the same answer. I'm just saying that's a good skill to start developing now when it doesn't matter. It's not going to change your answer. So that way when you get to math where it would affect your answer, you're already in the habit, so you're going to get the correct answer. Okay? So that was a little sidetrack there. But if I were to multiply that on the top, 0.08 times 720, and then divide by 100, I am left with 0.576, and that's going to be my final answer. Okay, 0.576. And you can see I'm starting to write like x equals, because I'm just using a variable to represent my number. I don't need to write x equals right now. I'm just in that habit, okay? So it does not matter if you write x equals right now. Your online book, I do not believe, asks you to write x equals. So let's try another one. Find 162.5% of 200. So again, of goes down here, right? And I have 200 is the word that follows of, and then I have that 162.5 as a percent, so I know that that's going to go right above my 100, like that. And then I don't know the number that that would be equal to. But if we think about this for a moment, I'm looking for a number that is 162.5% of 200. So if we just think about that for a moment, when we're looking for something that's over 100%, So over 100%. I forgot to kind of point this out earlier. It's that number that you get, that answer you get, so this x value should be bigger than the denominator. So in this case, our answer should be bigger than 200. Okay, so let's try it out. So if I were to cross multiply and divide, that means I would do 200 times 162.5 and divide that by 100, and I would be left with 325 if I type that into my calculator correctly. And if I do a little comparison, is 325 bigger than 200? Yes, so that means I have a reasonable answer. And then if I were to go back to this problem right over here, this is less than 1%, so that means I'm going to get a small decimal, okay? And if we look right here, again, it's less than 1%, so I'm going to get a small decimal number. And if I were to finish this one off, of, the word that follows of is 60, and then I have 0.3%, and I'm looking for what is 0.3% of 60. Again, I cross multiply and divide. So I'd say x equals 0.3 times 60, all divided by 100. And when I do that, I get 0.18. And that would be my final answer. So that means 0.18 is 0.3% of 60. Okay. Now, something else I want to point out before I switch to the next page is if you look at these problems, you will notice that for this letter A, I did that percent times the of number, and then for the very last one, letter C, I did the percent times the of number on top. But letter B, I switched the order. I did of times my percent. Does that matter? No. You can do it either way. Okay, so whichever way makes most sense for your brain, do that. Just know that you should be multiplying on the diagonals. It just doesn't matter which number you type in first. All right, here is the last problem for today. I want you to try this on your own. I want you to find 60% of 45. Good luck. All right, for this problem, hopefully you ended up with 27 is 60% of 45. Okay, if you have questions about that, please be sure to reach out for some help. I am happy to help you. Here is your key concept today. So a percent is one way to represent the relationship between two quantities, generally that of a part to the whole. So the part to the whole would be, if we were looking at this one again, our part is what we've been writing on the top of our fraction, and then the whole is what we've been writing on the bottom. And we're going to work with that a lot more, okay? You'll notice that this key concept, for whatever reason, switched the order and they did the percentages first, which is just fine. Typically, most often, you will see it flipped around, like what I was doing, okay? All right, that is everything for today. If you have questions about key concept or anything else from today's lesson, please be sure to reach out for some help. I am happy to help you. Have a great day.